So let's talk about the first Lucio Fulci movie I've seen. Tonight, for the first time, I watched The Beyond, a movie I've always wanted to see because, again, with horror movies, there's a lot of horror movies that, based on their artwork alone, I want to watch. And this one had a really awesome piece of artwork, and I see it on so many different things in terms of horror. Like, whenever people refer to this movie, I always look at that image on the poster of the girl getting the knife right there, and like there's a creature behind her. I think that's a really effective poster. And this was free on Amazon Prime, so this gave me the perfect excuse to finally see this, and to finally see my first Lucio Fulci movie, because I want to delve more into Italian horror, because I love Dario Argento, and I have not seen all of his movies. I've seen 6 or 7 of them, but I was blown away with the majority of them that I've seen of his. And I also want to see Mario Bava movies too, but I just haven't had a chance to see any. But I'll try to watch Blood and Black Lace soon, which is a Mario Bava movie that I found for 50 cents on VHS. But this movie, The Beyond, this is a special slasher movie. I already know with Italian horror that it's different than American horror, and it truly is. Especially watching Dario Argento movies, I can tell the difference in how horror is presented and how slashers are presented and for Italian instead of American. Like, I really notice this difference. And I want to say, too, with every Italian horror movie I've seen so far, the soundtracks to almost every single one of them is incredible and unique. And this one is incredible and unique with the soundtrack. The soundtrack is awesome. And I love how it's, again, another Italian horror director that I've watched first movie for, but this one, this score in particular, was just really cool and really moving and just really, again, in a way, so different than an American horror soundtrack and from an American slasher. I think that this, again, stands out so incredibly well because it's just something that I have not seen enough of, or listened to enough of with the scores from Italian horror films. This, I don't know what it is about Italian horror soundtracks I've heard so far, but man, this is just blows me away again. Just listening to how unique this soundtrack is. Now, the basic plot of this, without spoiling it, is this woman, Liza, who owns this hotel, meets a strange woman who's blind and has translucent eyes, and tells her to give up the hotel, and the woman immediately thinks it's legit, even though the character is really creepy that's talking to Liza, like this character who's blind. Something's off about her immediately, but she thinks it's legit and just goes along with it. Like, she tries to, like, hear her out and understand what this story is, and there's a story about what is going on with this hotel. And we see in the opening of the movie there's a thing 60 years before about this hotel, because this hotel has a weird history to it. So that's the basic plot without spoiling it, and I want to say, like every other Italian horror movie I've seen so far from Argento, watching this first movie from Lucio Fulci, this is a great slasher. These moments in this movie, these kills, are worth the price of admission alone. They are great. They are cringy in the best way. We're like literally, like, the way I feel about watching these kills are some of the best kills I've ever seen in a slasher movie. Like, seriously, this one in particular, I watched this and just was distraught over how impressive and how effective these kills were. There is a scene, and I will keep it spoiler free again, but there is a scene with tarantulas. I almost threw up watching this. Like, I was just sitting there like, oh my god, like, I literally can't, and I watched it, but it was so hard to not look away, because it was so disgusting, and it's obviously practical, and it is just mind-blowing in how disgusting these kills are in a fantastic way. Some of the most effective kills I've ever seen in a movie. Seriously. And I want to say too that the acting in this movie, a lot of people who go into this movie will, I feel like, have a problem with the acting, and the acting is dubbed over from, obviously because it's an Italian movie, they dubbed over the dialogue, and the acting in this with the dub is very over exaggerated in a lot of ways. But it feels kind of it feels like it's kind of intentional because of how this movie has a bizarre feeling and a bizarre atmosphere to it already. That I feel like this over exaggerated acting makes sense in this movie because it's just already over exaggerated with the kills, with the acting. Like it makes sense, I think, to have these performances over exaggerated. So I noticed from that standpoint that I felt very over exaggerated. But I enjoyed it, though, because I enjoyed the performances, even though they were really over the top, in a way where it felt like it blended in with this over the top world, if that makes sense. And I'm gonna keep this spoiler free, but if anybody watches this movie who hasn't seen it or who has seen it, I want to mention that this movie has a fixation on eyes, and that's all I want to say. But if anybody has seen this movie, or if anybody does see it and comments back and tells me, like, with the effect of what happened with eyes, like this movie and the fixation on eyes, man, I want people to talk about this with me, because this, I want to keep it spoiler free, but the fixation on eyes is incredibly creepy and disturbing. Again, blows me away, and just how creepy and disturbing it is. So this movie blew me away. There were moments where I was like, okay, it's just kind of slow, but the gore in this movie is unbelievable. Where, like, I sat there, like, I've never seen moments like this in a slasher before, this well done. And again, I've seen a lot of Argento, which does these similar type of gore and kills, but in this one in particular, the kills are just so disgusting and so memorable in a way where I've never felt that way about some of these kills in any movie, in any horror movie, in this gore, in the gore in particular in this movie. So I really love this movie. Man, watching this for the first time, it sucks it took this long for me to watch this, but man, awesome. This was a fantastic horror movie. So thank you guys so much for watching. Tell me down below if you've seen The Beyond. And if you don't, go see it right now. It's on Amazon Prime. This movie was fucking fantastic. So thank you guys so much for watching, and comment down below what you think about the movie.